Hello everyone. Welcome to this session dedicated to the challenges that the deployment of automated mobility will bring for infrastructure in cities. My name is Nadège Fall and I am a project manager at Vedecom, where I supervise the research program on infrastructures. For many, automated driving is a dream. The dream of a safer, cleaner, more sustainable city. Automated vehicles are expected to be electric, with no carbon emissions on a local level. They are expected to be shared, which means that less vehicles will be required for mobility needs. Consequently, congestion will be reduced and public space will be available again for other purposes. And automation suggests that there will be no more accidents and, consequently, no casualties. Also, it would mean that free time will be available again for leisure, work efficiency and a better quality of life. The reality might be slightly different. First, there will be a long transition period where automated and conventional vehicles will have to coexist on the same roads. The impacts on traffic congestion and road safety are very difficult to predict during this period. But perhaps even more importantly, we still don't know in which direction the users of vehicles will choose to go, towards more car sharing or more shared mobility, or on the contrary, towards an ever-dominating usage of individual cars. These alternatives have been presented by Jean-Pierre Orfeuille in this article, Cities and the Invasion of Autonomous Vehicles. It is well accepted now that citizens might be reluctant to spontaneously share vehicles. But the highest benefits for all will only be reached with a high rate of car sharing and hence a visible decrease in the number of cars on the road. There will be a need for strong incentives in order to reach this goal. So far, it is unclear what the public policies will be and if the incentives will be sufficient. Who knows what the future holds? The problem is more difficult when it comes to providing scenarios for deployment with quantified impact. You can see here on the results of a study published in 2016 by the Boston Consulting Group and the evaluation of the deployment of automated vehicles on 4 elements: carbon emissions, the need for parking space, accidents, and the cost of mobility. 4 scenarios have been assessed, from the very conservative, slow introduction of automation through the range of premium cars, the current way of bringing innovation to market in the car industry, to the very disruptive revolution of the ride-shared self-driving taxi. In between, various levels of disruption scenarios have been assessed. It is interesting to see that only in the 4th, very disruptive case will the effects of automation be positive on the 4 variables. This extreme situation shows that expected benefits are not going to be reached easily. Another very interesting study has been published by the Technical University of Delft in 2017. This study explores various scenarios of introduction to identify the real drivers of a fast and broad deployment of automation and the results in terms of vehicles on the road. The results show that momentum will depend on 5 external forces. The regulation, will it be restrictive or more permissive? The transport policies, will they foster shared mobility through direct incentives or not? The economic growth can be weak or high, with an impact on the financial capacity to sustain research and development. The customers can have a wait-and-see or a very demanding behavior. And finally, the attention on environmental issues can vary too, with a variable interest to develop EVs and carbon-free technologies. The results show very well the sensitivity of all those factors. It is very difficult to make any assumption on the potential impacts. Still, changing and upgrading the infrastructure in the cities is a very long process. Consequently, it is not possible to wait and see before we start to prepare for these changes. We have already identified the challenges that the development of electric and automated vehicles will raise. Regarding the sources of energy, with the increasing share of intermittent, unstable energy sources, a lot is at stake. Regarding the electricity distribution, new types of mobility and vehicle use will create changes in the energy network management. They will blur the boundaries between domestic and professional use, and new models will be required to cope with that. There will also be a strong impact on the charging infrastructure. How dense should it be? Where should it be located for the optimal equilibrium between a fast-growing demand and the capacity to maintain the existing distribution network, which could need to be reinforced? Regarding urbanism, there could be strong impacts too. The ability to go, live and work further than today will require redesign of the urban sprawl. But challenges also mean opportunities. On the one hand, the development of intermittent energy will have an impact on the management of the distribution network. On the other hand, an electric and automated fleet could represent a new storage capacity for electricity in the peak hours, hence a support to the distribution network. Of course, this goal is far ahead, with a lot of research questions to investigate in between. The constraint of having available vehicles for the fleet operators, the cost of the infrastructure, the design of the electricity market, as well as the possible business models. A lot of research projects are addressing the subject at the moment. At the conclusion, please remember the following points. It is obvious that vehicle automation is a complex subject, which includes technologic, systematic, and economic questions. We all dream about a safer, cleaner, and more sustainable future with autonomous vehicles, but the reality is uncertain. There will be a long transition period where automation and more classic transport systems will coexist. The rhythm and the direction of the evolution is highly depending on the transport policy's orientations and the regulation put in place by government. Multiple challenges are yet to be overcome regarding the sources of energy, the distribution, the infrastructure, and urbanism. Most of it is already being explored by researchers at all levels. But the biggest unknown so far remains the customer's reaction, their acceptance of the technology and the way they are going to use it. Thank you for your attention.